Quality Radio.
Hello there and welcome. My name is Alex Ramirez. Alongside me, my co-host Guillermo Cita, Albert Cita, known as the Super Cita Brothers, and this is 5 Round MMA. Today's show is brought to you
not to be confused by
with the other Cita brothers,
the Diaz brothers,
or
compared to the Diaz brothers.
Today's show is brought to you by a fine line of sponsors: Rocking Green, eco-friendly cleaning products, 5 Rounds clothing line, and of course the RMA Foundation. Today's show we're going to talk about UFC 190, the circus act that was World Series of Fighting 22. Not so much inside the cage, a little bit inside the cage, but then outside the cage. But first of all, gentlemen, I want to ask you, did you guys see any mythical creatures this weekend?
Besides Ronda Rousey?
Besides Ronda Rousey? According to Joe Rogan.
Then yes, I did see a mythical creature.
It was like John Lennon, Elvis Presley, like a dragon, and Ronda Rousey all in Brazil, right? According to Joe Rogan this weekend?
Yeah, I saw his Instagram. He was taking a picture in front of the Jesus in Brazil, and he said something about Elvis. I forget. I just kind of just rolled down through it.
Young women were crying, panting over. It's like you think the Pope was there, according to Joe Rogan and Dana White.
This is exactly why I don't follow Joe Rogan.
So let's get the show started with round number 1. I want to ask you the UFC 1 main event thoughts and reaction. Ronda Rousey knocks out Beige Correia in 34 seconds. Guillermo, give me your reaction to the outcome.
Just amazing. I mean, like everybody says that Ronda Rousey stand up. That's how you beat Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey showed that her stand up is improving. She had power. Everybody said about Beige Correia's power, and it seemed like she got a KO out of this. I mean, like there is no more questions regarding Ronda Rousey's weaknesses. She keeps improving.
What weaknesses? And it wasn't even. It was a KO, not a TKO.
Exactly.
She
Albert
was flat on the ground. So Albert, thouts and reactions to.
I hate to sound like the hater. I really do.
He is. He said it was an early stoppage.
Look, and that's not what I was going to bring up. my point was being she had the quicker hands that night, but I did not see the proper technique when it came down to the way she was throwing them hands.
Well, neither was Beige Correia.
Yeah. What I'm trying to say is for Gilmore to say that that her weakness isn't stand up. I think stand up is still the key if you're going to defeat Ronda Rousey. The quickness was way too much for Beige Correia.
Well, you don't never want to get Ronda Rousey angry because you saw what happened. I mean, like it looked like she wanted to put a beating, destruction on Beige Correia, and I think that was one of Beige Correia's mistakes leading up to this fight.
Well, I think even the game plan for Rousey was to get into the clinch to throw her down on the ground.
Yeah.
Right? That was the game plan. So obviously, they know her weakness is still her judo, her still submission, because they obviously they feared that Beige could have the stand-up power to knock out Rousey.
I think the same error occurred with Kat Zingano, where like you try to go this high pace, but that's Ronda Rousey's specialty. I think high pace is the pace.
Yeah, where's that coming from? Where she has like no cardio or something? Who's saying that? Go, you gotta push her. You gotta push her.
To me, that's the worst game plan ever, and that's why you've been seeing this.
She's a world-class athlete.
Yeah, she I think excels the best when it's at her pace, and everyone's been going her pace. And I think when Miesha Tate had the most success is she actually slowed down the fight and took it to her level. And I think that was the major issue when she came slugging at Beth. Beth shouldn't have been like, "Oh, I'm the better striker, so I'm gonna slug back with the same amount of ferocity." She should have slowed down, show her technique, establish the jab, establish the distance, and then make a fight out of it. I think she was too much to prove something and got caught
after the fight.
Best web.
I saw after the fight there was 3 fights in 64 seconds. All fights, if you really look at it, it was guns blazing the minute the bell rang.
But that's what I'm saying.
And look what happened. Each one of them, 14 seconds, 16 seconds, and 34 seconds. So, I mean, like, maybe
even if you go
maybe the plan shouldn't be guns blazing on Ronda Rousey.
Even if you go back to the first UFC women's fight with Liz Camuch, people forget Liz Camuch didn't do that bad. Yeah, she lost by the armbar. Yeah, she lost early. But she had some success. And she didn't go guns blazing. She went in there. She slowed down the pace. She tried to work her game plan. And I think she came close of getting that rear naked choke at that one point. So that I think speed kills here, and you shouldn't go into speed.
Yeah, like, I don't understand where this game plan is coming from. Where you're gonna just charge Ronda Rousey like that? I mean, she's obviously. I've never heard any doubts about her cardio or about athletic ability. It's almost like the John Jones thing where you got to be slow, methodical. You know,
exactly.
Just got to break the person down, not just charge after him. I mean, Guillermo, do you think it's more the camps? They don't know what. Even Ronda Rousey said, like after the fight, she said they think they know what they're getting in the ring with, but they don't know.
Yeah,
it goes back. You don't know what to train for with this woman.
I think everybody's just a little bit behind, in terms of the women. But I mean, like Ronda Rousey's on a class of her own. But I think the plan first was avoid the judo, and then that'll help you avoid the armbar later on, and stay standing up. But I mean, like, I think these women want to prove that stand up and trying to knock her out right away. And I think that's the wrong approach.
What's the Albert? You know what camp has the most success against Rousey? Is not has a Jackson Winklejohn fighter fought against Rousey yet?
Not that I know of.
No.
But it's funny because if you go watch Holly Holmes fight, even her last fight, she says, I should have picked up the pace a little bit. Maybe Holly Holmes, you need to keep that pace. And not pick up the pace, and maybe her outstanding technique stand up will be the difference maker against Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, I think obviously, and then probably need better coaching.
And I am very all I see is Chris Cyber. As soon as she won, I saw Chris Cyber this, Chris Cyber that.
Yeah, I'm tired of that.
I'd rather see Holly Holmes this. Honestly, I want Ronda Rousey against Holly Holmes more than I want Chris Cyber versus Ronda Rousey.
I'm in the same boat. What about you?
I think Chris Cyborg will never happen. And if it does happen, it'll be like a catch weight type of thing to end her Ronda Rousey's retirement.
Yeah, so speaking of that, we're talking about what's next for Ronda Rousey in round number 2.
Start.
Time for round number 2. We're going to continue this conversation about Ronda Rousey. What's next for her? Is it Cyborg? Obviously, it's Miesha Tate. But how long, Guillermo Cita, do you think we should have that Miesha Tate versus Ronda Rousey trilogy completed?
I really haven't seen anything regarding if Miesha Tate was hurt in her last fight because she went to a war. Ronda Rousey, I just saw a comment actually on like Facebook or something like that saying that she's good to go. I mean, like, she was only in there for 34 seconds. But I think you hear fighters say it all the time that the hardest part of a fight is actually the training camp. And I mean, she just went through a full training camp, so I think maybe some time off. I would say what's 6 months from today? We're in like August. Yeah, like January of next year.
Oh, good one, bro.
Quick update.
Good one, bro.
Either the December or January card. I think that'll be a good time. Maybe December is pushing it too.
I know that they want to do that super card with
Jose Aldo.
Well, why don't they just do UFC 200 with Conor McGregor and Ronda Rousey? Boom. There you go, $1 million.
So you guys didn't like my idea of last week having Brian Caraway challenge Tito Dillashaw and then having Tate and
then add Conor McGregor.
I like that.
Card.
3 title fights.
I liked it.
So obviously it's going to be Miesha Tate because Dana White said it last week, but I mean, the difference between number 1 and number 2 is like staggering. I really don't see what Miesha Tate can train next. I mean, she put a post right after the fight saying, I guarantee you, congrats to Rousey, but I guarantee you that's not going to happen to me. Okay, she probably won't knock you out, but I'm pretty sure she'll probably like submit you or something like that. So, I mean, but you posted on your social media saying that you think it's time for Rousey just to step aside just for a little bit because like the competitive balance is just kind of like not even there anymore. Unless you guys want to enjoy seeing Rousey come out to her walkout and her stare downs. That's more of a show now than her actual fights. So, I mean, Guillermo, elaborate further on why you said the things you said.
Well, in our Instagram, I said that, maybe it's time for her to retire because what else does she have to prove? She proved that she's the baddest woman on the planet. She's proven that she's one of the top, probably 1, 2 all time. And, I mean, her career hasn't even been that long, and she's already established that.
What, 3 years?
Yeah, in 3 years, she's going to be known as probably the greatest women's MMA fighter of all time. So I just think, what else does she have to prove? She can go do movies and not kill her body and still make a lot of money. So what else is in there in the cage for her to prove? That was my whole thing. So maybe it's time for her to step aside.
Albert C. to rebuttal.
It's funny because, like, I honestly think she should walk away. She did everything she had to do inside the octagon. I think there's no real reason to continue fighting other than the fact that you're still in your prime.
I know that little thing called money.
Yeah, I mean that's the only incentive. But there's no reason for her to stay. Yeah. I remember saying that.
There's a reason, but continue.
She says she feels like she'll leave the sport when she thinks she's ready to like hand it over to somebody. And even though it's her arch enemy, Miesha Tate, I think she can carry the sport and still in a positive limelight like Ronda Rousey did. Maybe not as dominant, but I think she should just walk away from it. To tell you the truth, I think she's done everything she has to prove as far as
okay. So you said there's no reason. I think there is only one reason for her to stick around. She's women's MMA is new to us. But she
already made her mark in history.
But she's still a top sell.
She already continued it, and now there's enough stars. I think that can probably keep the women's division interesting.
Well, the women's, I think, strawweight division is a lot more personality driven than the bantamweight division. I think that's my personal opinion.
And that's true. But to say that there isn't any bantamweight women that have personalities and that can carry the division, I think there's a.
But I heard you say passing the torch. I think she needs to pass on the torch. I think she right now women's MMA is being talked about. It's funny. I was watching ESPN after the pay-per-view. Breaking news: Ronda Rousey wins in 34 seconds. What other women's fighter does that?
I don't know what other women's fighter.
You know what's the real funny part?
Make breaking news on the ESPN.
ESPN had a boxing night yesterday.
Danny Garcia,
which is a huge boxing fight, and ESPN had it. But they were, if you go to their page or everything, they had Ronda Rousey first, and then.
But that's my point. She needs to stay. The only reason she needs to stay is to keep the sport on notice, or getting this marketing behind it.
I don't mind her doing these next 3 fights: Miesha Tate, Holly Holmes, and then Cyborg if she wants it.
If she wants it. So Ronda Rousey was not the only fight on UFC 190. She's such a big star.
It seemed like it.
She overshadows everybody. There was other cards, other highlights, question mark, on the card.
Why do you say question mark?
Because the card itself had its moments, but nothing really blew at least my mind away. There's a co-main event was a rematch 10 years in the making that nobody was really asking for, even though they kept saying, "Oh, this rematch hasn't happened." Like, between Shogun and Little Nog. I mean, like the UFC, this rematch had to happen, even though now both these guys are kind of irrelevant in their division. So, Albert Cita, any highlights you thought from UFC 190 other than Ronda Rousey and Ben Shohei?
I wish I could really give you some highlights. I mean, there was some notable wins. Obviously, Demian Maia winning the way he won was notable because, the welterweight division is very stacked right now, and anybody can, ease their way up into that title position.
Claudia Garcia was good.
The fact that Antonio Silva's
just ignore my point. Completely ignore my point about Claudia.
About Claudia, yeah, she did really good actually, and I was the only one that got that fight right. Just so that you guys know, I picked her to win.
Hey, I have a legitimate question. What's up with I know Jessica Aguilar came out with the mask. Is that approved through Reebok? Or is Dana White okay with that? Because I thought that was kind of
when it comes to stuff like that, I don't even ask anymore because I don't know who's allowed to do what.
Soul Play came out with Hulk hands, so I don't know what that meant.
Yeah, maybe in Brazil the rules just go out the window.
So I don't know. You talked about what highlights. To me it felt like everybody that should have won, except for what I was impressed for stood out was Claudia. She's back in the winning. I heard that it was like pretty much a number 1 contender fight.
Yeah, so she is now
and the fact that it was slated so low, I think that's what kind of surprised me.
That was disappointing to me.
That was the opening. What was the opening round? Opening fight of the pay per view. So at least it was on the prelims. I thought.
Yeah, and then Demian Maia, I felt was already favored to win. Yeah. The other one was actually Patrick Cummins versus Rafael Cavalcante. I think that one was a shocker because if you looked at on even all the social media, it was like the biggest upset of the night already happened.
When I saw that, I was a little bit stunned. I was like, I had Demian Maia as the favorite.
Yeah. No, not Demian Maia. Patrick Cummins over Rafael Cavalcante. If you go to the UFC Instagram,
I still had Patrick Cummins win.
Well, it had big underdog win by Patrick Cummins or something like that, or upset in the making or something, or big upset. I think those two fights
comeback, but not big upset.
So take out the Ronda Rousey fight. I think the only 2 fights to stood out was those two. I mean, like you guys said, there was moments in the Shogun Rua. There was moments in the Stefan Struve with those leg kicks.
It's funny because on one of the embeddeds they show Rafael Dos Anjos. And he's like, man, this card is so good from top to bottom. I'm so pumped for it.
Who said that?
Dude, Rafael Dos Anjos. I'm like, dude, what card are you looking at?
Okay, I want to put...
It's all his buddies
but
on the card.
You have to put this out. I know why the UFC put these 2 fights on the pay-per-view card because obviously they probably figured we have 2 heavyweight bouts that might end quickly. we have Ronda Rousey, who's been fighting less than 30 seconds in the hole, and you have Shogun versus Little Nog, who I guess they're anticipating knockout. So I understand why they put the two tough Brazil finales on there, but there was no reason why they should have been on that pay-per-view card. I mean, after Stephen Struve and Little Nog, did you see like the pay-per-view got sucked out of it? People on social media were posting all waiting for Ronda Rousey to fight.
Yeah,
I mean, they two finales to a show that wasn't even available in the United States at all. I mean, when the headliner is Ronda Rousey, so you have more of the general mass audience watching for her, and you're boring them to death with four guys who don't even know. And then, like the second fight was a grappling, a clinic, but nobody wants to see that.
Well, I think just the where it was slated. Of course, I think it's a good idea that it was on the pay-per-view card, but it should have been.
I don't think it was going to pay-per-view at all.
Well, but it should have been opening. You guys talk about introducing new stars and things like that. I think maybe in the introduction.
Yeah, but two
for the pay-per-view.
Two Brazilian stars on the tough Brazil.
The problem was there wasn't a good balance. I think.
That's it was just a weird. The placement was weird.
Card, and that's what ultimately led up to what I think was a snore fest. To tell the truth, I literally, like you said, I was waiting for the Ronda Rousey fight the whole time, even though I saw Shogun and Little Nog. You know what? They could have fast forwarded through that.
Well, the other one was Sal Paleli. I think had he won, I think we would have been talking about a lot more of that.
Yeah.
But because he didn't win,
to me it was disappointing. Just because I want to see this heavyweight division kind of get more interesting. And
what'd you guys say after the fight? Bigfoot versus Kane again?
But that's what I'm saying. But who wants to really see that? And now that Bigfoot's still in the picture, to me that wasn't very exciting.
Or before we go into the break, give me your grade for card as a whole. A+, B-, Young.
Oh, we're done.
No, give me card.
B-.
Albert.
C.
C+. Welcome back. Thanks for sticking around. Round number 4. UFC 190 was not the only major MMA event going on Saturday night, gentlemen. Did you guys know that World Series of Fighting had an event in Las Vegas?
I was looking for the channel and I couldn't find NBC Sports.
NBC Sports Network.
Yeah, but we don't get NBC Sports.
But I have Time Warner channel and I didn't have it on that either.
Time Warner, you didn't have NBC Sports?
No, man.
It's the premium sports package.
Yeah, because I have Dish Network and I don't have NBC Sports.
So going into it's a good idea, I think, right? Like, hey, if you're an MMA fan, you don't really want to dish out $60+ for a UFC pay-per-view. Why don't you come watch the World Series of Fighting for us?
If you can't find the channel, don't have the channel.
Oh, yeah, that too. But also, I think the poor execution on World Series of Fighting was banking on Husmar Payaris to be a gentleman and classy. And,
not it really banking on that? Let's
So let's say it was a good idea. Just the parts they put into it were not very good because the main event was Jake Shields versus Payaris for a welterweight championship. I guess if you guys saw it, Payaris had Kimura, right? Won by Kimura?
Yeah, it was a Kimura.
Did not let go as he's known to do.
Well, he let go. He held it just.
Oh man, I thought Jake Shields' shoulder was gonna break off.
And then Jake Shields after the fight stopped. Jake Shields gives one more punch after the.
It didn't connect.
It connected, but it
was more of a slap punch.
There wasn't much to it, but
it was a good punch.
Oh, the banner's fine, Alex.
So I mean, just your thoughts on this Payaris. I mean, this is the same routine.
The fact that Mazzagatti was it Mazzagatti just to double?
Don't blame Mazzagatti. Okay, he's a good referee.
He taps on Payaris' shoulder.
Let go.
He doesn't let go, and then he does a double tap, and he still doesn't let go. At that point, I mean, Mazzagatti has to freaking literally
kick him or kick the guy or something.
Not kick him, but throw him off, man. Get off of him.
Mazzagatti weighs 160 pounds as opposed to.
I don't want to put all the blame on Mazzagatti.
I put no blame on Mazzagatti.
This is what I say. I think it's 100% official. As soon as the ref touches the guy, you have to immediately go.
I agree.
Guess what? He's the only guy that can stop the fight. Yeah. Even if you tap and the ref didn't.
But what if the guy's not letting go? Then whose fault is it?
The guy's fault not letting go.
Of course, but that's what you have an official in there for to prevent stuff like that from happening.
We can actually go a different route, like the Joe Lawson versus Gomi matchup. He clearly saw that Gomi was out, and he himself stopped the fight and let it go. And that's just a fighter respecting.
But that's a fighter respecting the other fighter.
And that was just a visual. Imagine if you're an MMA fighter and the guy's literally tapping you. Guess what? Maybe you should let go.
Oh, hey ref, he's tapping. I'm let go. Yeah.
Well, I like you guys said though, but that's a person that respects the sport. Respects.
I give him 10%. blame just
Like
because he should have jumped
a little
in there
blame
a little bit.
Was it elbow drop the guy? Like he did what he's supposed to do. It's all these people say because Dana White said Mazagai's a bad referee. So everybody thinks Mazagai's a bad referee.
No, but then you saw earlier in the fight there was those ice book. I didn't watch the fight because they didn't have the channel.
Yeah, that was Mazagai's fault.
Did you see Jake Shields' eyes though?
Yeah, after the fight when he's giving the interview,
he had nothing but scratches all over his eye, dude. It was gross.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Paulie Harris is a dirty fighter. I think it confirms it now.
The real question is, will Paul Harris ever fight again? Especially in North America.
Yeah, I didn't see anything. Did Ray Sefo say anything?
I think he fights again. No questions asked. I just think the next time he fights, the refs are going to be really on him, and I think they're really going to look for.
How many chances does this guy get? I mean, like,
it's not about chances because come on, it's a combat sport.
He was.
You're in there.
He's known for this though.
But you know the risk that you take.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things. I think if let's say if Mazagatti had to physically pull his arm out of there, then I think it would have been 100% he's banned for life. But the fact that when he eventually did touch Pahar,
nah, man, you guys are being too easy on Paul Harris.
I'm not being easy on Paulie Harris. I don't like the guy.
I mean, you guys, we witnessed Nogueira break his arm from Frank Mir, and come on, it's not a pretty sight.
That's because
but that's my point. It's not a pretty sight, and I mean, Nogueira didn't tap, but Jake Shield was tapping, and he wanted out. So I mean, that's not cool.
Also, before this round is over, there was a fight in the crowd between Khabib Nurmagomedov and I think if not one or both of Diaz.
Well, it was Diaz throwing like a beer or a bottle of water.
It was Nick Diaz, right?
It was Nick Diaz.
Yeah, and someone went around and punched someone, and then they kind of little scuffle. Not really. They broke apart, talked some smack, went there.
And then I think an hour later, Nate Diaz posted a photo of like him, his brother, and two of their friends. Like afterwards, they say this is how we roll or something like that.
Yeah, that's exactly.
So I mean,
Diaz brothers always entertaining.
Well, this is exciting. Khabib versus Nate Diaz. I think it's in the making.
But just make sure each one has their own entourage because it might go down.
It's going to get ugly. Time for round number 5, the last one. I know you guys are huffing and puffing here, but just give me 5 more minutes. I want to jump back to the UFC 190, not the card is up, but the main event and the outcome of Ronda Rousey knocking out Bethe Correia in 34 seconds, which again furthered the gap between Rousey and the rest of the division. So actually, guys, in your eyes, is there a competitive parity between in the bantamweight division? I mean, is this Rousey up here and everybody else way down here?
Yes. Look at just the accolades. Is that am I saying her? Accolades that Ronda Rousey has. I mean, like she is an Olympic athlete. She's a prime athlete competing at a level. You have these not to be disrespectful, but you got these girls that are new to the sport coming up. I mean, they don't have the same background as Ronda Rousey at an Olympic level.
That's a great point. So basically, you get Rousey, who was training in martial arts since a young girl at a high level, right? But what was like Miesha Tate doing when she was growing up? Was she just practicing karate for, like recreationally, or was she like in tournaments? What was like Liz Carmen? What were all these women doing? Like were they not on that same athletic plane as?
And I don't think so. I don't know that. I can't answer that necessarily. But I think because women's sports is now or MMA is now rising, I think now we're getting those young athletes.
The perfect example for this is women's soccer. When U.S. hit the women's soccer market, they went running guns blazing, and it was almost unfair to see the U.S. women's playing against other countries. But after a few World Cups passed by, after the popularity went up a little
15,
bit.
20 years.
Yeah. Now we're seeing the women's actually be more competitive, but I think that goes to the fact that
we just won the World Cup.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying, there was more competition.
And 99.
But they lost the last one, didn't they?
They did. Against Japan too, right?
Yeah, well, no, I thought Germany won the last one, and then Japan the year before. Something like that.
Yeah, but the point is,
Japan and Germany.
The fact that here in the United States, the girls have always been playing an elite level as far as soccer for women's. That is, in other countries they weren't, and I'm just saying it just took a long time for I think it
Well, this goes back to my point that Ronda Rousey comes from this background. She's an elite athlete. She's an Olympian. I see Alex's note comparing Ronda Rousey to Will Chamberlain, Bill Russell. Those guys were ahead of their time, and I think Ronda Rousey's ahead.
That's the only thing. Kenny Florian said at the post fight, said she was born Ronda Rousey was born 30 years too soon.
No, but see, that's where I don't agree. I think within the next 5-6 years, we'll get other Ronda Rousey caliber fighters here. We're gonna get those special Olympians, special competitors. The girls are 15 now.
In the UFC.
Really getting into it in the UFC.
Yeah, but 5 to 6 years from now, Ronda Rousey's going to be in her mid-30s, and like it's not going to be. It's going to be an Anderson Silva case with Chris Weidman, where the young buck's going to get over the old lion.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So yes, like right now in the moment.
Yeah, so I think Ronda Rousey is the Will Chamberlain, the Bill Russell of women's MMA. I think
Jim Brown, maybe the running back.
Yeah,
and everyone will say no one's going to deny Will Chamberlain's talent and skill level. But there'll always be that
30 question. Years from now, there's somebody going to say,
well, maybe in this new era where, like, the guy that's in the sixth, coming off the bench, it has more talent and skill level than the guys
here's the thing. You brought up Holly Holm. Now we're starting to see these names. Like, when you hear people's backgrounds, you hear Ronda Rousey, she was an Olympian. She got, what was it, the silver medal, bronze medal?
She medaled in judo.
She medaled in judo. So now you hear Holly Holm. She was an elite boxer, and now a kickboxer. Now she's making her move to UFC. So now we're gonna start seeing those names. But like you said, it might be a little bit too late by the time Ronda Rousey faces these girls.
And you can look at the guys' MMA division too. First we had these specialists. I'm a wrestler. I'm a jiu-jitsu guy.
Well, not even specialists. You just had brawls when UFC originally began.
And then the BJ Penns came, and then more of the people, more around, well-rounded people.
Yeah, I think now people are saying, like, well, how do you sell a Ronda Rousey fight now? Well, I think UFC had this problem before. Well, how did they sell an Anderson Silva fight? How did they sell a GSP fight when they were dominant? They were still getting guys up to challenge them, and they were able to find a good twist on it. Well, this guy has jiu-jitsu that GSP's never faced.
How did they find the rivalry between Beto Correia and Ronda Rousey? It was just because she had beat the 4-horsewoman.
Yeah, and called her out, basically.
And called her out, and then
like two.
But still, I mean, like you can find ways to motivate Ronda Rousey, because that's probably the hardest thing to define this motivation for Ronda Rousey.
No, motivation I think is there, but it's just a selling point to get me to motivate to buy it. I think, but the UFC knows what they're doing. Obviously, they had it before. It's not like the first time they had a dominant champion before. Look what they did with Anderson Silva GSP.
I think people were so excited for this fight, so it motivated us to buy this pay-per-view. So
it's because we're on star power, right? Is that it? Is that round over?
Yeah, that's the end of the 5th round.
Which means it's the end of the show. Until then, next week, make sure to follow us on Twitter at FiveRoundMMA. Also on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on iTunes, YouTube, Podomatic. Check out FiveRoundMMA.com, and please visit our Instagram page at FiveRoundMMA. It's FIVE. And of course, a big thank you to all of our sponsors: Rocking Green Eco-Friendly Cleaning Products, 5 Rounds Clothing Line, and of course the RMA Foundation. Rise up against bullying. Albertino, what do you got?
Just like to thank everybody for listening.
Oh yeah, the cream of the crop.